We're live here, celebrity segment on the Total Tutor Show, and I'm really, really excited. I guess getting back from LA and all the jet lag and everything to get an interview like this, GJ, is fantastic, and I'm so glad to have the Beach Lifestyle celebrity segment back and running again. So how are you, G?
I'm doing fantastic, and as always, I'm excited about our next guest. And he's actually one of my favorites, and he's so talented in so many ways. I'm excited to hear more from him, and I know our audience is excited to hear from him as well. So I know you're doing the intro.
I'm doing the intro. Okay, well, I want to welcome the program, Celebrity John Rich, musician, big and rich, and also, I guess, a superstar from the Celebrity Apprentice. John, thanks for calling, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. This is really cool. I appreciate the time.
Oh, I'm excited to talk to you. And for our audience out there that doesn't know who you are, because either they're going to know you from your music or the Celebrity Apprentice, and I'm sure you're approached on both areas all the time. So tell us a little bit about your background, then we'll get right to the interview.
Well, I would say, I do a lot of different things, like you just said, but got started right out of high school in a band called Lonestar, which if you're a country music fan, you'll know who those guys are. And I played bass in that band for about 8 years, and had my first success as a songwriter in that band, and moved on from there to met this crazy guy named Big Kenny, and we started jamming, and we had this bartender named Gretchen Wilson, and she started playing with us, and then we knew this big black rapping cowboy from Dallas, Texas named Cowboy Troy, and he started jamming with us. And anyway, this whole scenario started to happen. We called it the Music Mafia as a joke here in Nashville, like, how we're just a family of misfit musicians. But it really turned into a really successful situation, and all those artists I just named, we've all gone on and had really, really successful careers thanks to the country fans. And a few years back, I decided to go on Celebrity Apprentice and see if I could raise a lot of money for my favorite charity, St. Jude Children's Hospital in Memphis, which is the premier children's hospital in the world for cancer and cancer research. And I went on Donald Trump's show, not knowing really how I would do or what would happen, and I wound up winning the whole show, and we raised over $1 million for St. Jude, and it's just really opened up a whole new world of people that don't necessarily know big and rich music, but like you said, they know me from the show.
Exactly. GJ has a little bit more of that background of understanding your music. I'm just a huge fan of you in The Apprentice and how you were able to really go through that. It's a challenging thing to, as any reality show would be. So, G, that's basically where I know John. You know him from his music, and you're a huge fan of his music, right, G?
Well, absolutely, and I did watch that show, and I was cheering you on all the way. And what I realized watching that show is there's a lot of backstabbing can go on, and a lot of different things going on that are unauthentic. And the one thing I liked about you maintain your country roots, your grassroots, your authentic. You stayed the course. And the thing that I learned most about you is that you're very quick-witted. You're able to think quickly on your feet. You're able to, obviously, in your music. And it was a breath of fresh air to see a celebrity come on there, maintain their integrity, and walk away with the ultimate prize, and do as much as you did for your foundation. So, how did you get started with your foundation and being, with the St. Jude's? How did you get aligned with them?
Well, St. Jude has actually Randy Owen, the lead singer of Alabama, back in the late 80s. He started a real small thing with Alabama coming and visiting the hospital, and it was such a big success and such a big lift to the kids and the parents that were there at the hospital. Randy said, "Hey, I think we could probably get a country music station or two to probably do like a radio-thon or something to help you guys raise money." So he started that. And from that, it has now grown into country music as a whole has now raised almost $1 billion, that's with a B, dollars for St. Jude Children's Hospital in the past 30 years. So growing up in country music and doing that with my whole life, St. Jude is just one of those things that you are going to come in contact with if you make country music. You're going to go there, you're going to be impacted by it, and now that I have a 3-year-old son and a 1-year-old son, it even drives it home even more important how important that place really is to the world. So when I went on Celebrity Apprentice, I didn't go on there to sell records. We'd already sold a lot of records. Big and Rich we're doing fine. We didn't really need a TV show to help us, but I went on there to try to shed light on that hospital to a lot of people that may not have heard about it, and try to raise a lot of money. And I think that was why I was able to keep myself together, because brothers, I was dealing with guys like Gary Busey and Meatloaf and Star Jones and on, and all these crazy people that were literally being crazy the whole time. And, it was quite a test to me. I grew up in a trailer out in Amarillo, Texas. So I'm one of those bare knuckle fighting trailer park kids from Northwest Texas. So when somebody pushes you, you push back. That's how you grow up. And in this situation, though, I was there to represent St. Jude. I was there to represent country music, not John Rich. And I put myself at the back and represented those other two things. So your comments that you made about my performance on there is exactly what I was trying to accomplish. And I do consider that. I know it's a silly reality show, but it really did accomplish some really big things for that hospital. And now, I'm on the books to do 3 more events for St. Jude just this year alone. So it's really something I'm proud of.
So how does it make you feel to be involved with this organization, especially when you're able to raise so much money on The Apprentice, but also then visiting the hospitals and seeing the work that they do? It must make you so happy to be involved.
Well, I'm a big believer in tithe. That whatever you have in your life, God gave it to you. You're supposed to give a piece of it back. And that also goes with your time and your talents. And that goes for everybody. Not just country singers. That's anybody listening out there. That goes for everybody. And so for me, yeah, there's the money element that you raise and that you give, but then there's the time element, and that's really where I've stepped it up big. Is we're doing our 2nd annual John Rich and Friends in Memphis, June 4th. Last year we had Darius Rucker, Kelly Pickler, Big and Rich, and Jeff Foxworthy. That was the lineup.
Wow.
So this year we're going to do it again, and it'll be another crazy. I'm working on Bon Jovi right now to see if I can get them. But the point being to raise as much awareness as possible with the public that St. Jude is there, and they have millions of people around the country that they call Partners in Hope. If you go to stjude.com, you'll see you can be $20 a month or $40 a month. And those millions of Americans that give like that, that's really what keeps that hospital going. And the big thing they do is they research ways to fight new cancers. See, cancer is so nasty, it just keeps morphing and turning into other forms of cancer that they've never seen before. And it's those cases that they take. And nobody that goes to St. Jude ever pays a dime for their treatment.
And that's fantastic. And that's especially for people that cannot afford that. I think it's a fantastic part of what he does. And John, it sounds like my co-host, who's an entrepreneur himself and very successful entrepreneur, has learned specifically the same thing, that, again, it's about tithing and helping others. And he has his own foundation, Mission G, right, GJ? And you always talk about how you have to give back, especially with your success.
Well, absolutely. And my wife came up with the term reverse tithing. I'm like, what do you mean reverse tithing? And so our ultimate goal is to tithe 90% of what we make. And obviously, I live very well and I've been very blessed. And just like yourself, you've been very blessed and you're giving back. And it's a great lesson, as you shared, for anyone, regardless of what you're making or how successful you are, giving back to those in need is definitely it's really what it's all about, and you're doing it. And the other thing is that you're utilizing that platform, and you're setting an example. And like you did on Celebrity Apprentice, you set an example, and I know that's a great example for others to step in line. So where can our listeners get involved to help you and your foundation? And then let us know when your next projects are. And I know you said June 4th. Anything else that
Yeah, I'd be glad to. JohnRich.com. It's got all the things that are happening with St. Jude is on there. Anybody that's on Twitter, you can follow me just at John Rich, and I'm always talking about what's coming up next. And there's just so many things. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you do. I don't care if you're. I don't care what your job is. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you don't even have a job. Doesn't matter. There's something you can do to improve other people's shortfalls, people that are going without something. That's what America's all about to me. Now, I'm a capitalist. Like I said, I grew up in a trailer park, man. You know, I had to think and work my way to where I'm at. And I don't believe that. I believe neighbors and fellow Americans should be taking care of each other. I think we've got the biggest hearts in the world. We've proven that time and time again as a country. When other nations get in trouble, we're the first ones there. And that attitude ought to go on day to day to day in the little unseen things that nobody ever hears about.
Most definitely. And I think that's what makes you approachable, John. And you see a lot of people who win The Apprentice are people that have that humility about them. You know, you see the other characters you're talking about, the cast of characters that are always on The Apprentice, and you think, are they really going to win? But finally you see it when it finally ends and sees who really is there for their charity and foundation. You see who ends up winning The Apprentice, right? A lot of times, look at the last winners. Yeah.
You're right, and I think that's where the separation starts to happen, because you see who's there to just be on TV, and then you see who's there for a real serious reason. And the serious people generally wind up at the last couple, 2 or 3 people standing, because they're the ones that are making the decisions based upon what's best for their charity, not based upon what makes good TV.
And that's great. And I guess that's what makes the show so exciting, is you know it at that time. Finally, the rubber's it's going to happen, that the winner is going to be somebody that truly is passionate and putting the work in, and not just trying to get back their fame again, which you already had. So that helped you in that whole process. And GJ has the major $1 million question that we ask all our guests that come on the show. What is that question, G?
Well, John, what's your 90-day challenge? What's your 90-day challenge goal for yourself or your foundation? And we set everything in a 90-day goal. So, what's your 90-day challenge?
My 90-day challenge. Well, I have several,
okay.
but for St. Jude, I mean, in the next 90 days, like I said, we're going to do this John Rich and Friends show. My personal goal is to get such huge artists involved with it. Like I said, I've got to call out the Bon Jovi. I don't think it gets any bigger than that.
Yeah.
Larry the Cable Guy, you know, people like that. I mean, I go right at the top and try to drag them in. And what that does is it allows people they can either buy a ticket to that show and come to it, or they go, man, I heard John on the radio, what he's talking about. I'm going to go on stjude.com and I'm going to give them $20 a month or $40 a month or whatever they want to give. And that's a continuous goal. I mean, is to continue to build people, because once people really dig into St. Jude and see what it's about, the first thing that crosses their mind is, what if something like that happened to my kid? What if something like that happened to my niece or nephew or my grandkids or whatever, the neighbor's kid next door, you know, that comes over and plays in my yard? And your answer is, I would want them to go to St. Jude, and I want that place to do better, and I want that place to thrive. And I can't think of a better place to put your money than there.
Tremendous. That's tremendous. And you have all your 90-day goals ahead, and we're going to be helping you definitely promote it as well, tweeting you out, making sure that we're getting the word out to all our stations out there to get involved again. And so quickly, John, where can we find information again so that we can donate and be involved in the foundation and also learn more about your works?
Well, johnrich.com, simple as that. Front page, you'll see banners for St. Jude. You can click on those. There's a song I wrote called For the Kids. It's a free download on there. You can go get that. And to spread the word to your friends. There's a product out that a buddy of mine from Alabama invented called the Cord Buddy. Have you guys heard about this thing?
No, I have not.
No.
Okay. This thing it's called the Cord Buddy, and he was on that show Shark Tank. Have you seen that one?
Oh, we're huge fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they walk on, and people sometimes they have great ideas, and sometimes it's the craziest thing you've ever heard. Well, this guy walks on there, and he invented this little contraption that goes on the neck of a guitar, and basically anybody can play it. A 4-year-old can play it, or a 94-year-old can play it. You can play 4 chords with this thing, and I didn't believe it, so I actually ordered one off of his website, and one came here to my house in Nashville, and I snapped it on the neck of one of my old guitars, and sure enough, the thing worked, and it worked great. So I called the guy. I said, man, this is awesome. You know, I'm John, and this thing is awesome, and how could we combine what I'm doing charity-wise with this contraption? And he kind of gave me a funny answer, like, well, I don't understand how that works with charity. I said, man, when you can inject music into a situation, it does nothing but raises everybody's spirits. And so can you imagine guitars with those little chord buddies on them in the hands of all these kids at these hospitals or their parents or whoever else, and they're sitting around while they're getting their treatments and they're playing songs and having a good time. And he said, man, what a great idea. So we started out at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, and at Christmas we gave out, I don't even know how many. I mean, my house was packed full of kids, and all got their chord buddies, all got their little guitars, and I gave them a guitar lesson, taught them how to play Jingle Bells on their guitar. So the next move we're making is going to be to St. Jude, which is a much bigger hospital, and we're going to take several hundred guitars there. Eric Trump, Donald Trump's son, is going to be involved in it, and we're going to show up in a tour bus and a trailer packed full of guitars and give those away to all the kids. So it's an interesting thing. It's like what I was saying before. There's always some way you can tie in what you're doing to help other people. And that chord buddy thing, that's also on johnrich.com. Go check that out, because as a kid growing up pretty lean and mean, we couldn't afford guitar lessons, but I had a dad who could play guitar. So he taught me how to play the guitar, and you see where the guitar has taken me in my life. I mean, it's taken me all over the world. And so anybody out there that's going, yeah, we really can't afford to buy Bobby or Sally guitar lessons, get one of those little chord buddies and check them out, man. They're really cool, and a lot of the money goes to charities. And I'm personally taking those little contraptions and putting them all over the United States, including Wounded Warriors. I mean, I want to put them everywhere. I just think music is the greatest gift you could give somebody.
That's fantastic, John, and I'm glad you talked about that, because I was definitely wanted to learn more about that as well. So appreciate you calling, and I know GJ will definitely want to stay in touch to maybe help out your big event coming out in June and ways of promoting it and also helping your charities. So thanks again for calling, man.
I appreciate it, guys. You got big hearts. Thanks for having me on, and everybody listening, thanks for your time, and go help out St. Jude, and stay in touch. We'll be looking forward to seeing you soon.
All right, take care, John. All right, see ya.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, you're listening to Total Tutors Show, powered by the Beach Lifestyle Celebrity segment. We'll be back in just a moment.